Welcome back to our PICO-8 tutorial, and this is part 5. In the last part we managed to actually move the map with the player, but as you can see we also move our scoreboard on top. So before we do anything else, let's fix this quickly. And for that we have to draw the scoreboard in relation to the camera position, because as you can see the camera moves now to the right, and so we have to put the scoreboard to the right, and if the camera moves down we also have to put the scoreboard down and draw a black border on top. So that's what we're going to do now. We go into our source code and we have to do this in our draw function, which is here, and we go and after we draw the map, on top of the map we draw a rectangle, and that is from 0 to cam x, which is the camera x position. So we add cam x to the position, to 0 plus the cam y position, and then we say we want this to end at position 127 plus cam x, and on 7, which is 7 pixels high, plus cam y, and we want this in the color 0. And if we start this, you can see that now there's a black border on top of everything, and in this black stripe on top we will now draw our scoreboard. And for that we simply have to add cam x and cam y to every of our drawn sprites which draw the numbers for the score. So we say cam x plus cam y plus cam x plus cam y plus cam x plus cam y plus cam x plus cam y. And that should now keep the scoreboard on top, and it does. Yay! Nice. So that looks a lot more Boulder Dashy than before. Next we go and we add a function that is called update map, and we call this after update player. I will tell you in a minute what this does. This function doesn't exist right now, so we go in our map stuff file and we create a function update map. And if we start the game, you can see that nothing happens. This map is completely static. I can run over boulders, over diamonds. I can't pick them up. Boulders don't fall down. All that. So if I put, let's quickly edit the map. I put a boulder up here in Boulder Dash. That boulder would fall down the minute I start the program, but it doesn't do anything here. So what we have to do is we have to check with every update if there's anything on the map that doesn't have something beneath it, and if so, we have to drop it down. So we actually have to add gravity to our map, and that is a bit tricky, and I fiddled around with this quite a lot, especially because I have never done any kind of multi-dimensional tables in PICO-8, and that was a little challenge which took me 30 minutes to figure out. But we'll get to that in a minute, and it's a bit more complex how this gravity thing works. So let's first do some other stuff in preparation for that. We have to have, and that is pretty important for what we do with the gravity stuff, we have to have a function that tells us if a player is at a specific position. So we call this is player at, and we give it an x and a y coordinate, and this should return if the player is at that position right now. So our player sprite. So if player1.x equals x and player1.y equals y, return true. And if not, return false. So this is more of a convenience method, not so that I don't have to write all this every time I want to check if a player is at a specific position. So that makes this much more convenient. Next we go and actually do some gameplay. So we can pick up some diamonds, we can move some rocks. If you remember Boulder Dash, you quickly start the game. If you go on a diamond, you collect it, so it is removed from the screen. And if you push a rock, say there would be a rock down here, right to the player sprite, and I could push this until there's no more free space. So if it hits some soil, I can't push the rock any further. And that is what we are going to implement now. And for that we have to go to our update player function. And let me quickly check. We have the new x, new y, that is all in place already. So next thing we need is that we store the direction the player is moving to, so that if we check if we can move a rock to the left or the right, we need to know if the player is moving left or right now. So we haven't that right now. We have this direction left, true or false, but that is always true or false, and the player can also be not moving, so we have to take care of that too. And for that we do bring in new variables. The first one is be left, which is false. So if the button left is pressed, this is true, and we have button right is false. And whenever we enter this function, we set these to false, so there's no button pressed. And if the button left is pressed, then we set be left to true. And if the button right is pressed, we set the button right to true. So now we have stored in these variables if the player has pressed left or right. If he has pressed up or down, these are both false. Now we have to update our canMove function. And we have to give this the be left and be right variable, because right now it's like if there's a rock, the player can't move. What we want to do and check in this canMove2 function is, yes, there is a rock, but if next to the rock is some free space and no soil, then the player can move to that position and the rock will move with the player. So we have to add these be left and be right variables. So we just put this in for now, and we need to edit our canMove2 function. And let's quickly do this, and that is in, I guess, our map file. Yeah, here it is, canMove2, and we add our be left and be right. So we have our tile that we want to move to. We have the flag of that tile. If that tile is wall, then we can't move to that position. So right now this wall flag is also true for the rocks, so we can't move on a rock, and that is correct, but we can move the rock and move to that position where the rock is. And for that we have to check a little further, and we say if this flag is true and tile equals rock, that is the number of the sprite right here, which is 52. So let's quickly add that to our init map function up here, and let's do a little more stuff. Let's add empty, which is just a black space. Let's add soil, which is sprite number 49. And let's add rock, which is 52. So these are actually tile numbers. And these are our flags. Let's do a little documentation here. We should add another flag, and that is has gravity. And that should be flag number 7, and I guess I already added that. No, I didn't. So flag number 7 is this, and let's add this to the rock and the diamond and that diamond. And that tells us that these objects can fall down. So soil can't fall down, the key can't fall down, but diamonds and rocks can fall down in the original Boulder Dash and Emerald Mine 2. So we give these the flag number 7, and we can check for that later in our method when we check, or our function, when we check if something is dropping down. Okay, so we have our tile is rock, which means if tile is number 52, which is this sprite, then we have to check if B left, so if there's a rock, we check if the button left is pressed, is true, and if the map tile next, so left to the rock, is empty. So we check mget, which gets us the tile on the x-1 position, so the position next to the rock, on the same y level is empty, which is our variable up here, so it's the same as 0. Then we set the flag to false. Yeah, exactly, because we always return the inverted. So if it's true, return false, and if it's false, return true. So this is correct. So we then say player can move there, and the same goes for the right one. So if the right button is pressed and we have the x+1 in this case, then the flag is always also false. And we say and then we say if flag equals true, then return false, and else return true. So that should be our can move function. We can't test this right now because here's no free rock. Let's quickly put one on the map. Just take a rock and put it here. Run this again, and we should be able to. No, we're not. Okay, that's because we only checked if we could go there, but we don't go there. So that is all correct, I guess. Okay, we have to check this in a minute. We have to go to the update player function again. This will be a little bit more complex now. So what we do is, for convenience, we first get the tile we try to move to. So we make an mget new x new y. So we're getting the tile we want to move to and store that in tile. And then we say if fget is a diamond, then we want to increase the number of diamonds collected. We want to replace the place where the diamond is with an empty field. So we say new x, new y, and set the tile empty, which is our empty tile. I make a remark here. that I have to do gravity stuff here. It's very important because else we don't get what we want. That is not cool. And we want to play a sound which I created. Let me show you this. This is sound effect number 1. And that is a sound effect we get if we collect a diamond. And you can do this faster or slower. I'm at speed 2 here, and yeah, this seems to work pretty nice. Okay, so we have some more to check. This is if you get a diamond. Then if we hit soil, we just dig it away. So else if tile equals soil, which we have defined in our map stuff up here, which is tile 49, which is just sprite 49. But so we are checking if this is sprite 49 on this position. Then we just set a map tile, and we set it at same like above, set new x, new y, and also empty. So we could have combined this right here, but for clarity, let's leave it like that. And we play sound effect number 0, which is, let me quickly show you, this, which is kind of a digging sound, if you will. So now we have taken care of diamonds and soil. Let's quickly check that. Okay, there's an error. We're missing a bracket here. Like that. And just like that, we can collect diamonds. Nice. And we can remove soil. Still can't move any rocks, but we can move over rocks now, which is nice. But interestingly, not about over this one here. Don't know why. And stuff is still pretty static here. So let's first take care of the movable rock. So we do another else if. Else if tile equals rock, which is defined in our map and which is tile number 52, which is our sprite 52. Then, wait, where am I? Here. Then, and that is a little bit complicated now because we have to do a little more ifs. Because if we are going left, we have to do one thing, and if we're going right, we have to do another thing. But in the end, it's all the same structure. So if button left is pressed and mget new x minus 1, so we want to go to the left, and if here's a rock and the position next to the rock is empty, which we are checking now, equals empty, then we want to set the map tile with a rock to empty. And we want to move the rock one spot. So mset new x minus 1, new y, comma, rock. So we're deleting the rock and we're putting another rock, which is not the same rock, on the other position. And the same goes for right. So we just say if button right is pressed, and here we say x plus 1 because we are checking to the right, and we say x plus 1 here too. And that should now make it possible to move a rock, but interestingly, I can move this rock, but I can't move this rock, which is quite funny. And I really don't get why. I get why. Because these are not empty fields. So if I do clean these, you can see there are little dots up there. If I clean these fields, which are not empty, but something from here, then if we restart, I can just move the rock completely free. And it only moves as far as there's no soil around. I can move a rock down. So let's try this again. As you can see, I can move the rock up to here, and there's soil. If I remove the soil, I can move the rock one further. And this goes in both directions. So we have that covered. That is nice, but still the map is static and nothing is falling down. So now we get to the most complex part of all this, and that is gravity on a map. Okay, let me quickly tell you how I think gravity should work in this game. If we take a look at the game, let me quickly run this. If we have a free space below a rock or a diamond, these should drop down. And this should not just happen if we remove something, but if I place, let's say, quickly do this, if I place a rock like this, so that there's nothing below the rock, when the game starts, the rock should fall down, or everything that is not held in place, like this rock up here, this should fall down. And right now this is not happening. And there's a little bit more complexity. So the first thing is stuff should fall down. The other thing is, if the player is right here and he moves down one, then the rock should fall to the left or to the right and kill the player. So stuff that is in motion should kill the player, but stuff that is still not in motion, like these diamonds right now, should not kill the player. So if I go up, the player shouldn't die, but if the player goes down and the stuff falls down, then the player should die. So we have to check for every item on the screen if it has a gravity and if it has been falling for at least one cycle of checking, because if it's falling, it has some force and it can kill a player. And yeah, that function is a little bit more complex, so bear with me here. So that function is a little bit more complex, and this will be the topic of part 6, which will be the next video. And yeah, thanks for watching. Now we can actually collect stuff and move rocks, but we still can't die. And we still have gravity, but that will be in the next video. So thanks for watching, and as always, bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Retro is the New Black. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. If you like the video, please share. Every like, share, and comment helps a lot. Until next time, bye-bye.